I'm trying to be decent here, and I'm trying not to be big sales, but I heard Johnny Mac take a shot at me today. Oh, Sileo said it about Jordan Davis. Oh, John, come on now, man. I know, hey, man, it's one way or the highway. That's John McMullen's new nickname. What highway? The McMullen Highway. Without further ado, by the way, I love that dude, and I think he does a spectacular job. I love the fact that the Eagles go to him, too, in the pit. When the players are there, the coaches are there, man. Really a huge asset for us, man. Those guys are doing such a great job on Birds 365. John Highway McMullen and Big Z, Zander Krause. How you doing, brother?
What's up, Big Sills? How you living over there, brother?
I'm doing, man. How about you, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Off season's moving right along. First day of spring today, and it feels like it outside. It's all good in the neighborhood, brother.
How about except for the Green Bay Packers bitching and moaning about the tush push? Did you hear how they submitted it? Here it is, official, proposed rule by the Packers to amend Rule 12, Section 1, prohibiting an offensive player from pushing a teammate who is lined up directly behind him and the snapper and receives the snap immediately at the snap. So between Micah Parsons and the Packers, those two dudes are on my bitch list heading into 2025. Do you think they're going to change that rule? Competition committee's meeting.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, who knows? I'm with you though, man. What are we doing here? You can't stop a play, so you want to rule it out. But I didn't even spend time on it this morning on Birds 365 because I really didn't want to. I thought it was freaking the whole thing was stupid. But John brought up a good point. It's more likely to pass if the competition committee, I think, makes us think about it. So I don't think they have or will. I haven't heard anything about that. But yeah, the Packers are butthurt, Sills. We beat them in the playoffs. Get used to it, Green Bay.
You beat them twice, actually. Opener and in the playoffs.
Yeah, baby.
That's the worst thing about it. Hey, dude, I want to throw this at you here. And again, we kind of broached it a little bit a couple months ago, but let me bring it up again here. With all the guys that have been extended, and I'm going to throw this over here at you here. You think it's a priority for Jeffrey Lurie right now to address either Nick Sirianni or Howie's contract? It runs out at the end of the 2025 season. And here's where Nick is. Nick is the 17th. Nick is the 17th highest paid head coach in the league right now. Let's do Nick first. He makes reportedly $7 million a year. Here's coaches who make more. D'Amico Ryans at 8, Dan Quinn at 8.5. Liam Cohen in Jacksonville makes 12. He's the brand new head coach. 1-year coordinator in Tampa makes $12 million. Kevin O'Connell makes 13. I mean, the other guys, Reed, Peyton, Tomlin, Harbaugh, McVay, all those guys in the top 5, they've won Super Bowls. It's $15 to $20 million for Nick Sirianni. I mean, where does Nick fall in this? If you're the Eagles, how important do you think they think he is? Where does he go on this list?
Got to be high, man. Got to be, I think, maybe the highest in the league. Maybe you could put him behind Andy.
You think they're going to pay him $20 million a year?
How do you not? Give me one good reason why they shouldn't. He's been a coach for 4 years, so he's been to the Super Bowl 2 times. He's won the NFC twice in 4 years. He's a Super Bowl champion in his first 4 years as a head coach. I mean, push comes to shove. This guy deserves every dollar. He's earned every dollar. I think Nick Sirianni is a no-brainer. And
do you think they see him
expire this year too?
Do you see him as a Sean Payton and Mike Tomlin? Or do you think they see him that way?
He's a different style. He's got his own style. Obviously, Nick is not like Tomlin or those guys, but he's quirky, but he does a damn good job, and the players play for him, man. I saw enough of what those players think of him last year to know that my opinions on Nick Sirianni at the end of the day don't really matter. It's one of those things. How valuable is an opinion? It's not more valuable than results. I'm on the same spot with Nick Sirianni. The guy keeps winning. The players play for him. Give him the contract. So I would imagine they're going to get that done soon. the weird thing with both those is they could happen in the dark and not get it out. You don't have to report those things as much. So they could get the deal done. You remember when Roseman signed in 22 his 3-year extension? It kind of went under the woodwork. I think Philly Voice was the first guy that picked up on it, Jimmy Kemsky, and then they released it. So they could be getting it done. But one thing is, they don't go into lame duck years for anybody.
That's what I mean.
GMs. So it's going to happen this offseason if it does happen.
See, the only difference with Nick that I see with these guys, Andy Reid picks his own coaches and players. So does Peyton. So does Tomlin. So does Harbaugh.
But that's not what our organization believes.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and why I don't think he has the same importance in those organizations. Mike Tomlin's importance in the Steeler organization is by far more important than Nick Sirianni's in the Eagles. I get it's different, Zander. It's different because it's more political.
Important. I mean, I wouldn't say more important. I would just say it's the scope of the role is wider. I mean, Mike Tomlin's asked to do more things, but I don't think the Eagles would punish Nick Sirianni for that. That's their setup, right? That's what they believe. It's like what Zach Vaughn said in the press conference the other day, right? They have systems here in place that they believe allows people to flourish. Same thing with the coach, same thing with the front office. They're not going to dock him for that. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but they're not going to dock him for that.
Do you think another coach could come into Philadelphia and win a Super Bowl? Whereas I don't think another coach could go into Kansas City and win another Super Bowl.
Well, that's a good point about Kansas City. I mean, it would be hard. I mean, what are we doing here? We've won 2 Super Bowls in franchise history. So I'm just saying, like, to think that you'd win with anybody, I think is a little bit naive. Nick certainly deserves something, but I get what you're saying. They have a great roster, a great system, a great team, a great organization. They believe they're bigger than any one man, and I don't necessarily think that's the wrong philosophy, to be honest with you.
No, I don't. Now, let me get to the most important guy. How do you handle Howie? The highest paid GM right now is Nick Caserio at $6 million.
Yeah, Howie
for the Houston Texans. Okay, well, if you're Howie, you win another Super Bowl this year. Why wouldn't you want a challenge of becoming a guy who can really just call? Well, he does call his own shot in Philly.
Yeah, I don't know what bigger, because I thought about this before. Like, would Howie ever want to get out from under Jeffrey Lurie? But the only way to go is being owner.
What if he went
to New
England?
Next for Roseman? There isn't anything next.
What if he went to New England and Kraft gave him the autonomy that he gave Belichick?
But what do you get there that you don't get here? Think about it. He's not going to be the head coach. He doesn't want to be the head coach. He's a GM. He pretty much has maximum power that a GM would have across the league.
I can't think of another thing he'd get in New England that he doesn't have in Philly.
So I don't think he's going anywhere. Howie's not going anywhere. I think Howie Roseman deserves a blank check. I'm not going to lie to you, man. I really do. I think he deserves a blank check.
You think he should be the highest paid GM in all sports?
Yes. People used to talk to me about Daryl Morey. Oh my God. Don't even get me started on that. What a fraudulent general manager. What a total fraud who has no idea how to put your finger on the pulse of a team, figure out how to build a locker room, camaraderie, continuity, with the right players for the right room. I mean, I've been saying that phrase a lot this summer. Howie knows how to get the right players. And that's become evident with the culture of the locker room as it's been able to sustain the losses of guys like Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, now Brandon Graham. They've been able to keep their culture. So Flexen says Kraft's got the connects at the massage parlors. That's about it. I guess that's all you're getting. I don't think Howie wants that. So
no,
I think Howie should get, well, I mean, I don't know, max deal you could give a GM is what I would give Howie.
You're damn right, unless somebody gave him a percentage of ownership of a football team
Krause,
like the Jets.
You know how Krause does the 2-minute drills every day. He said that on a 2-minute drill. He's like, what's next for Howie? Ownership, I guess. So, I don't think they're actually going to do that. But Howie's, look, people have their gripes with Howie. You've had your gripes with Howie.
Yeah.
I understand. Nobody's perfect in this world, especially at GM. What Howie's done for this city, though, for this organization, you talk about, like Sills, earlier, before we won the Super Bowl this year, you said you guys are a winning organization. You're not a Super Bowl organization. Well, now we're both. All right. Yep. And I got news. Before Roseman, we were a winning organization, but we weren't even really a winning organization like that. The last 8 years, we've won more football games in that 8-year period than any other 8-year period, maybe in Eagles history.
You have.
We have become a gold standard in the NFL. Whether you like us or don't like us, we have become a gold standard. And a lot of that is because of Howie Roseman. Jeffrey Lurie deserves credit. The players deserve credit. Everybody deserves credit. I don't say that as a one-man job, but he does a good job, man. I don't know what more you could ask. What more would you want from your GM?
I nothing. I think again, I think, and plus I think Nick fits exactly. This is where Doug didn't get it, where you're talking about more of a guy who makes all the decisions. And you know what Nick's main job is to convey the message that Howie and the owner want in the locker room on what their culture is and what they want it to be expected from the players. His number one job is he's kind of the buffer. And the players hear him because he's the voice of the owner and he's the voice of the GM. The GM doesn't give halftime speeches and pregame speeches. Right. That's the fucking head coach.
Yeah, I think they give Nick a little bit of a leash, though. Like, I think they let him be himself. You see that with the way he acts, right? I mean, he is himself. He's his own quirky self, and I think that's...
I don't think he has any say whatsoever in personnel.
Well, no, he doesn't have say in personnel. Not over Howie Roseman. No way. I mean, not even close. But I think, to your point, though, about, being the buffer between the front office, I do think they allow... There's a framework for sure. Like, hey, this is a core value that we want to have, or this is something we want to implement. But I think they allow Nick.
I think that's important. I'm not saying that that's not important, because obviously it's important. It works. I'm just saying that what they have and what they've implemented and how they are structured, it's working. And I don't think it worked with Doug. I think Doug fought them.
Doug was more like you and I. Doug didn't like to be told what to do.
That's right. That's right. Doug wants to pick his own shit, wants to do his own thing. And now get this. How about this? The least amount of resistance gives them the best formula for success. And that's what Nick gives them more than Doug.
Well, that's why Nick's the right coach for them.
Resistance.
Yeah, that's why Nick's the right coach for them. Because look, our front office isn't going to change. This is what they like. This is what the owner likes. He wants to have control. Some people, would rather have a different style of a GM or a different style of a coach or owner or whatever the case may be. In Philly, this is what it's going to be. So the best thing to do is not get a coach that wants to run everything his way. Get a guy that's willing to work within the guidelines, work within the, the barriers, the barricades that you set up, and maximize your success. And I think that's what Nick has done. And that's the perfect thing you can do in Philly as the head coach.
I heard something from Zach Bond that made me realize what you guys do now in personnel, and it's right there in front of you. When Zach Bond said yesterday, he said, look, during the process, Vic was constantly talking to me, Howie was talking to me, Nick was talking to me, my agent was talking to me, and we were going back and forth the whole way. I never wanted to leave. And I started thinking, holy shit, Vic does have say in the type of style of player that he's looking for. And all of these signs that you have made, think about it. The edge rushers all look alike. That's the style of edge that Vic wants. A 6'2", 235 guy. He's not looking for a 6'5", 290-pound, 275-pound guy. Don't they all look the same? When he's looking for corners, he's looking for zone corners. When he's looking for safeties, he's looking for guys that know how to play a 2-high safety or a Tampa 2. It's very simple. This is why you guys, whether it's Sean Desai, Jonathan Gannon, Vic Fangio, the system's the same. Why is that? Because Howie and the team have a structure in place. It's easier for me. This is to your point, why you feel so comfortable. It's not the players, Zander. It's the players they bring into the system, because Howie has an easier way and it gives you the less chance of failure. If I have a guy that I know that resembles Slay and could play 10 yards off the ball in a zone cover, that guy's going to resemble what Slay does. Now, will he play at the same level as Slay? I don't know. But they're going to be a less of an opportunity on misses because that system is staying intact. How many times have you ever seen in your life when a coordinator comes into a new place, All of a sudden, the coordinator's got a new system. He wants to go to a 43. You got 34 personnel. It never works. Not in Philly. In Philly, you're going to play that two high safety zone cover, and whether it's Vic Fangio in the future or whether it's Lovie Smith, you're going to play that defense because.
Well, remember that changed after Schwartz.
What's that?
That changed after Schwartz.
Correct.
Before Schwartz, you remember when Gannon showed up and Fletcher Cox was like, "What the fuck am I two gapping for?"
And it never has changed since.
Yep, exactly.
So it shows me that Vic. So to your point, why you're high on some of these guys? Well, Zander, some of these guys here fit what Vic's looking for.
Absolutely.
Look,
Absolutely.
I think one of these guys are probably going to pan out. I don't know. I mean, again, like I said yesterday, most of these guys are brought in for competition for the young guys. But if you had to pick a guy that you think is going to be a guy who makes an impact on one of the guys that has started, especially on the defensive side, I think Dylan's going to be a good compliment to Barkley if he's healthy. Okay, with the neck, I like him a lot. Is there a guy on defense you like?
I like Ojulari. I like Uche. I know you've had fun with him and the whole name and everything. I like Uche. I think he's going to have a chance here. I think he fits what Vic likes in an edge with the speed guy. And me and John have been talking about this, Sills. But the one thing I like that the Eagles are doing, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're all great players, but you can see any spot on the roster where they wanted a young guy to step up, right? Any spot where you lost the guy, right? Milton is gone, so Morrow's stepping up. Josh Sweat's gone, so Jalix Hunt is stepping up. CJ's gone, so Sidney Brown is stepping up. Darius Slay is gone, so Keely Ringo is stepping up. They're bringing in competition, or at least a room of talent for every one of those guys. They're not giving anybody a role, right? If you're Jalix Hunt, you thought you were the starter when Sweat signed. Well, now you got Uche, Ojulari, and all these guys coming in to compete for playing time. You're going to have to up your game. Same with Nolan Smith. You want to be the main guy in that room? You got to be the main guy in that room. You go to the cornerback. Keely Ringo, it's your spot, but Adoree Jackson signed a 3-year, $39 million contract a couple of years ago. That guy can play. So you better show up to camp ready to go. I think that's a really good thing. You see that in the best college programs. I know college is a lot different, but and I'm not saying these guys are as good as some of those guys who you go up against in practice in college because you got the top recruits at those schools. But, I do like that mentality, right? Go in, earn your keep, earn your stripes, work your ass off for it, show up ready. And if you do what we ask of you and you develop your body, develop your game into what we think you can be, you're going to earn time here and you're going to get paid, or you're going to get paid from somebody else if it ain't here.
I want to show you something here again on Roseman here, how he set your future up. Can you imagine? Look at Dallas's future. Where is their future? Listen to this. Not just this year, 32nd pick, 64th pick, 96, 134, 161, 164, 165, 168. From the 160s down, they're all fifth rounders, which are quality picks. But look at 26. You got a 1, a 2, a 3, your own. Then you got the Milton Williams third. Then you got the Reddick third. Then you got a 4th. Then you got the Sweat 4th. Then you got a 5th. Then you got Houston's 5th. Then you got a Becton 5th. Then you got a Rogers 6th. You got your own 7th.
So we have three threes, 2 4s, and 3 5s next year.
Yep.
They are going to get ready for draft day because they are going to trade all over the place. Up, down, sideways, backwards, future picks, everything. They are going to move because they know they need to maximize rookie contracts. So if they like a player and they got to move up a couple of spots in round 2, round 3, round 4, they're going to use those picks. They are going to move to go and get those guys, that they want. Remember, they need rookie guys. So if you see a guy that's a couple spots and you're like, shit, he might go, the Eagles are going to be like, go and get him. We need guys we believe in, on rookie contracts. So they're going to shake and bake with those picks. But you're right, man. Howie just stocking assets right now. And the one thing you love is, you remember we were kind of in this boat a couple of years ago. We had a little bit more premium picks coming off of Carson Wentz, but there was like a couple-year period where we had multiple ones. Remember, we had Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. We got
traded one of them for AJ.
We traded for AJ Brown, exactly. So They were so good at that. You remember what they did with Devontae Smith, dude? They started at 6. They traded back to 12 like a month before the draft and got another first-round pick. And then they went up to 10 for a third, I think it was, to get Devontae Smith. And they picked up another asset later from Dallas. Like, they are so good at reading the board. That's been one of the best things that they've been able to do on the draft. So with all these picks, dude, Howie's going to cook on the draft day.
God, one more time, Zander. The 1, 2, and 3 are yours. Then you have you have 3 threes with the Reddick and Milton Williams comp picks. The trade pick actually was with when you traded Reddick. You got that third. It's in 26. Milton Williams is the comp pick at 3 in your own third. You've got 2 4s, the Sweat comp in yours, and you've got, again, the 5th round. I'll tell you what he does. You can look at the round that he uses a lot of his equity in is the 5th. He's got 4 5s this year, and he's got 3 5s next year. Do you know why those picks are important? Because the board falls into best player available when you're down there at that respected spot. And you can use those 5th round picks to move up the 3s and 4s to move in there and pick up another 3. You got 20 picks over the next 2 years. I mean, bro, let's just say you hit on 35% of them. That means you got 4 starters.
Yeah. And the late picks, dude. I think it's possible.
With that many picks?
Yeah, I think it's possible. I mean, here's the one problem with it, just if you want me to poke a hole in it.
Sure.
They've been excellent. I mean, best in the league in terms of round 1, 2, and 3 in the last 4 years. Excellent. They have been okay. I mean, it's not like anybody's really, doing that good in rounds 4, 5, and 6. But, I mean, even last year, right? Will Shipley was a solid 4th round pick.
Yeah.
Your 5th rounder, Anais Smith, didn't show shit. Trotter. Now, let's see. They need more years. I know these guys. I'm just saying 2 years ago, Keely Ringo in the 4th, that could pan out. We'll see on him. I think that's been pretty good. I mean, you draft a 5th, 4th rounder, and he's had a chance to start this year. That's not bad. Tanner McKee at the 6th. Moro Jomo at the 7th is a pretty damn good pick.
It is.
400 plus snaps last year for Moro Jomo, and they were effective. Now he's going to be probably a starting tackle. That's a good pick. 6th round pick, 22, is Grant Calcaterra. That's a pretty good pick. Kyron Johnson, that was a miss. Zach McPherson. Kenny Gainwell is a 5th rounder. That was pretty good. Marlon T. and Teron Jackson, Jacoby Stevens are all gone. Patrick Johnson's back this year. So I guess, honestly, not bad. Not bad. Kenny Gainwell's a 5th rounder. Grant Calcaterra's a 6th rounder. Tanner McKee's a 6th rounder. Moro Ajomo's a 7th rounder. Keely Ringer's a 4th rounder. And then last year, we'll see. So not bad, actually. Not bad so far.
You think the majority of these picks, especially in 26, what side of the ball do you think it goes to?
The conventional thinking would be defense because, you got to have cheap rookie contracts over there. But you could also argue, even if you're getting great production out of rookies on defense this year, something is going to shift in the next couple of years because you're not letting Jalen Carter walk out the door. You're probably not letting Nolan Smith walk out the door. You've already paid Zach Bond. You're not letting Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean walk out the door. These are all 2 years away from contract. 1 or 2 years away, all those guys I just mentioned. So even if you hit perfectly on defense and you got to pay all those guys, where are you recouping some of that money on the salary cap? Probably offense. All right. I'm not going to say any names because people will go nuts, but the offense as it looks today is not going to be like that 3 years from now. So do you have to get some young guys on offense that can produce? That could be a fair question.
How about this? This is where I'm going here with that. And that's exactly where I'm at here. You don't believe A.J. Brown's retiring an Eagle, do you?
A.J. Brown? No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. No. I'm not putting him on the stove this year, but with all those picks, I'm looking for his replacement next year with all the equity that I have.
I agree.
Okay. Now, you know what that
people are going to have a problem with you saying that, but I don't think you're wrong.
Watch this. You can make it look like this too. You could trade some of those picks and give yourself a 27, 2 first rounders, move out and project that 27's the year I move off them. But I think next year you start the beginning of that because again, like you said, Zander, you got to pull some of that money. The cap goes up 18%. every year. But you see how they operated this year, looking at some of the defensive. Dude, the players they got to pay this year or in the future are not on offense.
Yeah.
They're on defense.
Yeah.
That's
And
where they're going.
What I would say to people is before you go to AJ Brown, I know AJ's probably going to, we'll see what happens with him.
I'm not getting rid of Devontae for anything.
What's that?
I'm not getting rid of Devontae for anything. I'm just not getting rid of him.
AJ Brown's a better player than Devontae Smith.
He is, but you know what? He's perfect for my cap. He's a productive guy. He's a great.
I'm not arguing any of that. I'm just saying if you are going to split the guy,
yeah.
Let's be real here. AJ Brown's a better than
one.
Devontae Smith.
How about this? Do we not agree that Devontae Smith is a better T. Higgins?
I think Devontae Smith is much better than T. Higgins. Yes,
okay,
I agree.
But that's his role. He's
right.
A
That's his role. Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, I mean, you look at it. I mean, who are they going to move on from? But here's what I would say to people: if there's anybody on the team that you think the Eagles, and we're guessing on a lot of this, but I do get some information from the inside on who they view as foundational. That's going to be a key word. You know, people were like, why did they trade CJ Gardner-Johnson? Well, that's the key word, okay? They didn't identify CJ Gardner-Johnson as a foundational player. He was due $8.5 million in cash, and they said, goodbye. We're trading you for a bag of chips and Kenyon Green. That's what they did. They didn't even care about the return because they cleared that money off the book. So if there's any guy on this team right now, Mekhi Becton, we all loved him. We wanted him back. We thought he was great. They said, we could probably replace that with cheaper. Goodbye. So any person you see on this team right now that you think the Eagles will not identify as foundational, I would say they're probably going to put him on the revolving wall, where they're going to replace him with cheap production, cheap draft picks, and go from there. So look, Deshae brings up a good point. Smitty's homegrown. Maybe they do see him as foundational for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. But I'm just saying, anybody that you think, it can be any name. Anybody can come up with names. Who do you think would not be foundational? They're probably going to move on from him.
You know why they look at Devontae foundationally? Look at the contract he signed. It's true. A foundation contract.
And that's so team friendly. That deal is so team friendly.
And that's why he's a foundational piece to them, because you know why? He wants to be here. He gave them a team friendly contract that can allow them to restructure, not have to pay him. I'm on St. Brown $32 million money. That's why when you look at Devontae, he's perfect for me, because you know why? He wants to be an Eagle. He's here. The contract is conducive to what we're going to be doing in the future. Everything he's doing makes him an asset to me. He's productive.
That's true. It's a good point for you.
He is everything you want in a foot. You know who he is in a way? He's kind of like a Reed Blankenship on that side of the ball. Reed's not going to get top dollar safety money.
Yeah, but Reed was undrafted.
No. But what I'm saying, do you think they look at Reed Blankenship as a foundational piece? I think Vic does.
From what I'm told, they do view Reed as that. Me and John talked about this morning about his contract. I mean, what are you comfortable paying? I like the player, but I don't know. Can you shake a tree in the third round and come up with another Reed? I don't know. I'm just saying. I had this thought.
Why would I want to?
I like Reed. The Eagles like Reed, but we'll see.
I'll give him 8 to 10.
That's what they're talking about. 10 mil plus.
That's what they're saying. 8 to 10.
I mean, you just look at some of the deals, right? Look
For
at
the quarterback in your secondary. I'm in.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm just saying you could make the argument that the Eagles might not value the safety spot as much as they value, all the other positions they got to pay. You're talking about, think about it. So they're going to have to drop $150 million in escrow next year on 2 guys on the defensive line. That's not including Cooper, Quinion, Jalen Hurts restructure, anybody on offense. That's it. On Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. You're going to have to spend $150 million in escrow. So they're going to cut costs on other stuff to keep cash liquid. It's not about the cap. Howie's fine on the cap.
Let me ask you something about Hurts. You think Hurts takes max money, or do you think Hurts takes team-friendly money in his next contract, in his next negotiation, so that he can keep the foundational pieces around him like Brady and Mahomes have? One thing Brady said about his time in New England, he could have always got the max money, but that would have been at the expense of the defensive side of the football. And Brady was never the highest paid player in the history of the league until he got to Tampa. He made his money in Tampa. He didn't make his money in New England. Shit, the guy that just signed this year signed the greatest contract in the history of the Philadelphia or the New England Patriots and Milton Williams. I mean, they never made money up there. Do you think Hurts is in that conversation where instead of taking the $65 million a year, like Josh Allen did, do you think he takes another like 58 somewhere in there to keep this thing friendly so that you could spend that money for Carter, Smith potentially, or whomever they end up drafting over these next, especially with the draft picks you have? If you're Jalen Hurts, you're in a position where legacy now, do you want the money or do you want, again, $58 million, bro? I don't know if you're all right with that, but if you were able to spend another $12, $13 million on keeping an offensive guard, getting an edge rusher, if you're Jalen, you think he has that mindset? Because he surely showed me last year, I don't have to be the number one passer in the NFL. I just want to be the number one team in the NFL.
Yeah. All right, now hear me out here. Follow me, everybody, because I have a complex answer to this because I'm trying to decipher it in as many ways as I can. The first would be my objective point of view. All right. Jalen Hurts, everything he has done in his career to this point has shown that he walks the walk and cares far more about winning than any personal accolade. So objectively speaking, I would say Jalen has showed characteristics and traits that would put him down that road like Brady did, right? Take the next money. I want to win games. I want to win Super Bowls. I want to be a champion. That's what Jalen has shown to prioritize. All right. So from that perspective, objectively speaking, yes, I could see Jalen Hurts doing that. In fact, I would say based on the way he goes about his business, it looks like Jalen would do that. Now I'm going to speak from an Eagles fan. All right. And I'm going to say, you better do that because if you don't do that, let's be real. You're just making too much money for us to field a great football team around you. You can't field a great team. You can't have a number one overall defense and everything and pay Jalen Carter, pay Nolan Smith, pay all these guys and build a team like you had last year consistently if you're constantly taking top dollar, right? That's the fan in me. Now, here's me. Jalen Hurts, maximize your earnings, my friend. All right. At the end of the day, this is a business. At the end of the day, you have a period in your life when you can earn a lot of money. All right. Dan Sileo played football for a long time. You probably look back at that and like, man, if I could have extracted a couple more peanuts out of that period, I would have done it. This is not forever. You will not be making this type of money for, God, well, maybe he will. Maybe I'm sure he's a smart business guy, but I'm saying from this period of your life, I would tell him, me personally, if I was his friend, I would say, bro, get every fucking dollar you can. Hey, the fan in me says, take the cut. The person that I am would say, maximize your earnings because you're putting your body on the line, your life on the line, everything on the line to go and do this for a certain amount of time. The objective in me would say, I could see Jalen taking a pay cut to try and win as many games as possible.
Funny you say that. Listen to this. So when I signed with Dallas, this was before Jimmy got there. Dallas gave me $150,000 signing bonus. This was 1987. So you can extract whatever that is. The league is way different now. By the way, I signed a $400,000 contract or signing bonus in Tampa when I came out of college. I signed a $2 million deal. So now I didn't get all that money, but I signed a $400,000 signing bonus. So I signed $150,000. Seattle offered me $230,000, and I didn't take it because I didn't want to go to fucking Seattle. They kept telling me, "Hey, come to Seattle. You can be our nose." And I said, "No, man. Tom Landry and Andy Robustelli, they all played together. I'm going to go to Dallas, this and that." Then Landry ends up getting fired. They were going to play a nose defense, whatever. And I was like, "There's about $100,000 that I just let like this. In today's money, that's $1 million with the $150,000. I think it's like $900,000 or something like that with inflation." And so I probably pissed away $800,000 by not going to fucking Seattle.
You might not be talking to me right now if you decided to go to Seattle.
Man, I can't believe that shit there.
Sileo would have a house in Malibu, baby, overlooking the water.
No,
if that happened, man.
No, my aunt's ears are burning right now. Anyway, all right. I wrote down the Big Sills top 10
Wait,
NFL
real quick before we move on, I wanted to get your take on that. Just your thoughts on Jalen, like if you think he should or
I think
would
he'll
take a
take
pay
less.
cut.
I think he'll take less money because he'll look at it as he's investing in himself.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, because that's
Yeah,
what.
right. How much sponsorship money can you make if you become a 3-time, 4-time, 5-time world
Now, see,
champion?
when you start talking to me about that, then I start getting pissed off at that because, hey, I earned that. That's part of my shit off the field. Me and you are talking about what I bring to your football team, and I'm doing you a favor, so do me a solid. Remember what rubbed Brady the wrong way at the end of it? They weren't retooling the football team with the money he was reinvesting,
Right.
and the thing started falling apart. That's why he left for Tampa, because
Exactly.
they weren't bringing in any longer Randy Moss. They weren't bringing back people like Darrelle Revis.
Even on Tom's last contracts, he gave Tampa Bay a discount.
He gave him a discount, but he still made $42 million a year.
Yeah, well,
he signed a Jordan deal.
It's Tom Brady. And remember, Tom Brady was making a lot of money, but Tom Brady was right before the massive boom.
Yes.
There's always been a boom, but I mean, Tom Brady made what in his career? $200 million? Jalen Hurts just got $200 million for one contract, and it was 5 years. Brady played for 22 years.
He made
Think about if Brady started right now and played for 22 years. He'd make $1 billion.
What would you pay Tom Brady right now if he was in the league in his prime?
Oh my God. You'd pay him what Josh Allen just got. $60 million.
It's okay. He'd be like a $65, $70 million a year
guy.
The
top guy.
Tom Brady could eventually be like the first $100 million guy per year.
Yeah, see, this is the interesting point about Jalen. You know, Flexen says Brady getting that money now. You know, Flex, this is a great point, because why is Brady getting that money now? Would Brady be getting that money now if he took max money and then won one Super Bowl?
No, he wouldn't be on
Fox. He took the discount. They won Super Bowls, and now he's the GOAT. He has the world at his fingertips.
You want to hear a great point to that, what he just said? Do you know one guy right now that's getting nobody is interested in him on being an analyst on TV? Brady just signed a 10-year, $350 million deal, right? Do you know Aaron Rodgers right now has nobody interested in him being part of a network whatsoever?
That's part of him burning bridges too. But yeah, no, you're right. It's a good point.
Okay. I mean, Brady invested in himself to have teams around him so that he could be successful. And you're right. He's making up the back end money now.
Yeah,
with Fox
objectively speaking, like I said, I could really see Jalen doing that, because everything he's ever done or is shown, you know, is that he walks the walk when he says those things. You know, remember his first quote after he got paid? It was one of his best quotes. First quote in his green Gucci suit as he's signing the deal and talking to the press for $255 large. By the way, after he was making $1 million a year. All right. Money is nice. Championships are better. It's a great quote. It really is. It's a great quote. And I think he'll live by that. We'll see, though.
I just got a little bit of insight here from an agent that Tom Poland just sent me a text too, and it's confirmed. The Eagles are having a meeting with edge rusher South Carolina, Kyle Kennard. I love that player. He was so fucking good for South Carolina last year. Man, that guy on the other side of Nolan Smith, he's a fucking great football player. Every game I saw South Carolina play, Zander, he was unblockable.
Who's the kid?
Kyle Kennard. Dude, this guy can play. I don't know where he's listed on where they'll take him in the draft. He might be a second or third round, but I'll tell you what. I watched him play at South Carolina. He was so good. He may have been in line for the SEC Player of the Year.
6'4", 250.
Dude, he can play. I voted for him for All-American. I mean, dude, I saw that kid play. Dude, they got a bunch of guys on that South Carolina team can play. I didn't realize they were in the conversation for the playoff spot there at the end down there with Bama, Miami, and South Carolina. I didn't realize those were the three teams that were at the conversation. Zander, he can play.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word for it for sure.
He can play.
I don't know where he's mocked. I was trying to find where he was mocked.
Hey, dude, later the better. Yeah, not everybody has to be a first-round pick. Hey, you got two guys that just left your ball team. One guy signed for 20, the other guy for 26. They were third and fourth rounders.
Right.
Remember, okay? Zander, I wrote this down before we get to some of the supers that we got in here. Guys, by the way, hit the like button. Supers will be read at the end of this segment here. We got Jason Cole at the bottom of the hour. Then we got Dave Wanstedt, the owner of 3 Super Bowl rings.
One of my favorite National Football Show guests is Dave Wanstedt, so stay tuned.
That'll be at 5:30. I wrote down my top 10 NFC teams when it came to rosters. Right now on March 20th. Here they are. Number 10. I got the Chicago Bears. I think they've done a lot of good work. I think
these are Bears, total NFL?
NFC.
Okay, NFC.
NFC.
Hey, damn, you got the Bears top 10?
Top 10 NFC. Guys, hit the like button. 158, not good. Let's go. Let's get it over 200. Number 9. I got the Bucks at number 9. Something about Tampa, man.
I think they're going to be higher on mine than yours. 9 seems low for me for Tampa.
Jason Light is such a good GM.
Yeah. And, dude, they got Godwin back. They got Mike Evans. They got I think they're doing a really good job right now, bro. I really like what Tampa has done, actually.
Listen to the hirings, too. The last 2, Dave Canellis and this guy, Liam Cohn, have gone into Tampa, been coordinators. They've all left for head coaching jobs in successive seasons. So between what Bruce Arians, I got to get him on again. Between what Bruce Arians and those guys are doing down there, along with Todd Bowles, they're hiring good assistant coaches.
Right.
I mean, and by the way, would you not agree? That's kind of the kryptonite to the Eagles a little bit the last couple of years has been the way Tampa's played against them. Because you know why? They kind of look alike.
Yeah.
Except for the run game. That's where they lack in the run game against the Eagles. But they're pretty good at spreading the ball around because of those wide receivers and that Wirfs kid at left tackle. That kid's a great player. Number 8, you're probably going to hate this. I got the 49ers here at number 8. I still think they got a good roster.
They have a solid roster. I don't hate that.
I think they're older, obviously. Brandon Ayuk has got to step it up. The Gator wide receiver kid who got shot has got to step it up.
Yeah.
Their defense, especially in the tackle position to save Fred Warner, has got to be better. And now they got to replace Hufanga at safety. So they're probably going to go in the draft at safety. I wouldn't be shocked if San Francisco takes that kid from Georgia at the safety position there because they need to address that. Number 7, I got Seattle. I know it's Sam Darnold, but Seattle.
No, you're not far off. I like Seattle a little bit more.
I think Seattle, I think John Schneider, the general manager there, I think they do a really nice job of winning. Remember, they're coming out of the Pete Carroll era, and look at New England coming out of the Belichick era. Seattle's better. They just draft better. They sign free agents better. They do a better job, man. Number 6, it's kind of the headless horseman. I got the Minnesota Vikings here.
Yeah, their roster's crazy good, though, man.
Right. And J.J. McCarthy, really? That's who you're going to turn the keys over to? You're going to turn the keys over to a guy freshly out of college when you got a Super Bowl championship team? I don't know.
You're going to have all 4 NFC North teams on there.
Yeah, probably.
And
I am. Oh, I am.
We play them this year, the NFC North.
I think the NFC North's a great division. Number 5, I got the Packers because of Love. I think what they do and how they add components, I think they do a great job of drafting. Dude, I'll bring you the stat up again. 34 years, they've had 3 quarterbacks take 98% of the snaps. It's unbelievable. I like the Packers. I think the Packers are a good roster. Number 4, I got the Washington Commanders here. I think they're doing it right. I think they're adding veteran pieces until they can get their draft in order. I heard you say something the other day. Well, the Washington Commanders are one of the oldest teams now. They have to be, Zander, because the talent that they've drafted prior to that, Adam Peters knows it was a shit show.
Right.
So what do? You go get veteran guys right now on 1-2-year deals, and you bring those guys in. Shit, that's how you guys were built. You guys brought guys in on 1-2-year deals. You brought them in until you got your draft in order.
Right.
Adam Peters is following the Eagles' blueprint. You need veterans when you have a shit roster. Then you draft better. Get rid of, you replace
I don't love what they did, man.
They had to. Their left tackle stinks. They had to get Tunsil. Who was their wide receiver too?
Dude, it's
I
like a
don't know.
retirement home over there. They signed 10 dudes over
They're
30.
only on 1 or 2 year deals, though, dude. And Debo just restructured today.
So you're saying if they better draft good. All right, Adam Peters.
That's right.
Everybody's praising you. You better fucking draft good.
That's correct. The only reason you sign veterans at this rate is because you know your roster's not really talented with younger players. That's why the Eagles have all these picks. Where are you putting those guys? Where's your turnover?
Yeah, I see that.
There's a ton of turnover in Washington to come in the next 3 years. Number 3, I got the Rams. I love the Rams.
I love the Rams. We're one off, but I have the Rams.
I love Les Snead, Kevin Demoff, and I love Sean McVay. I think they have it all. I think Kroenke spends the money. I think he's a heck of an owner. I think they've got get this, if you were really going to go the last 5 years, wouldn't you say in the NFC, the 2 most successful teams in the NFC have been the Rams and the Eagles?
Absolutely.
They both have won Super Bowls.
Yeah.
They both draft well. They both sign free agents that fit in. I fucking love that sign of
Les Snead. I did a GM ranking a little bit ago. I left him off my top 5. That was a mistake. Les Snead is one of the best GMs in the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude, and then they turn around and get Devontae Adams in the room.
Right.
I mean, come on, man. I got Detroit too. I think Brad Holmes, general manager, and I like the head coach, Dan Campbell. Here's the thing. They got to learn how to win big games. I mean, you can't lose an NFC championship game when you have to lead against San Francisco, and you can't lay an egg against a rookie quarterback in your own barn. Dude, you got to win them games. You can't start to look a little like San Francisco when you get in those big games, you nut up. You know what I mean? Now look, I know that injuries play a factor in this, and that's what happened to them. But that's no excuse. The Eagles had injuries. They lost Graham. They lost Mulata for a time. They lost AJ for a time. They lost Devontae for a time. They won a Super Bowl. That's not an excuse.
Yeah.
Injuries or not. And of course, I got the Eagles number 1 there with their roster.
It's a really good list. I think you were pretty close, man. That's a good list.
I got the Eagles 1, Detroit 2, Rams 3, Washington 4, Packers 5, Minnesota 6, Seattle 7, 49ers 8, Buccaneers 9, and I got Chicago 10. Chicago's going to have to show me this year as well.
All right, ready for mine? I did them real quick, so forgive me if I'm off on a couple. I did them while Sileo was talking. Sills, I thought you nailed a lot of them. We have the same on some of them, and I did 11 because I fought for 10. All right, I fought over 10, so I just put in the 11th. And you're going to be a little surprised with where I went with, but this is just where I'm thinking right now. Number 11, I put the Seahawks, and I got them edged out by a team you did not mention in the Carolina Panthers.
Huh.
You might be surprised by that. I think they've made some good moves. I thought Bryce Young took some strides forward this year. I kind of like what their coach is doing right now. I know they're a tough team to believe in. The owner's a dumbass. I know. Maybe this is from my Bryce Young love.
No, I think that game impressed you, what they did against the Eagles.
They were very competitive late in the year last year. Very, very, very competitive.
Would you not agree that was one of the more competitive games that the Eagles played all year?
Absolutely it was. Absolutely it was. Absolutely it was, for
sure.
Great take. Yeah, so I got them there, and, they got J.C. Horn under contract, so I like that. 9, I have the Bears. I think the Bears are a sleeper, man. They did everything right the last couple of years except their trenches, and now they focus exclusively on the trenches. I think they're a team that could take a big step forward quick. 9, Bears. 8, I have the Niners. I'm with you. Still think they're a solid team, good squad. What are they going to do with Brock Purdy? Biggest question there. 7, I have the Bucks. I have the Bucks a little higher than you. Yep. I'm a big Baker Mayfield guy. I just like the way he plays the position with confidence, with swagger, gets the ball out quick, can fit the ball in the tight windows. I'm a Baker Mayfield guy. I like Baker. Number 6, I desperately want to put this team higher, but I cannot because they don't have a quarterback, and that's Minnesota. I think their roster is up there with the Eagles and the Lions, honestly, but they don't have a quarterback, so it makes me wonder what they're going to be. Number 5,
are you concerned about the health issues of Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave playing the inside?
I think they have a different role in this team, but I'm not overly concerned about it.
Okay.
Number 5, I have the Packers. Number 4, I have the Rams. Number 3, I have the Commanders. Number 2, I have the Lions, and 1, I have the Eagles. So we're pretty close. I mean, you have Rams 3, Commanders 4. I had Commanders 3, Rams 4, which I think is kind of a toss-up. You could argue the Rams there. Packers and Vikings, we had the same at 5 and 6. Bucks, I had 7. You had them, I think, a little lower. Niners 8, we both had, and then I had Bears 9, Panthers 10.
If you had to pick, and let's just say things roll out perfectly, if you had to pick the NFC Championship game against your Eagles, would it be Detroit, Rams, Washington, Green Bay, or Tampa?
Rams.
The Rams in the NFC title game.
They have everything. They have the quarterback coming back.
And their schedule's not brutal.
They have the coaching experience. That's my worry with Lions right now. For the first time losing both coordinators.
Yep.
I mean, I like Dan Campbell, but this is uncharted territory. How are they going to prevail? What is Jared Goff going to look like in a new system? So those are my questions there, but I think the Rams are going to be a good team this year, man. I think they're going to be a really good team. Devontae Adams added to that mix. I think they're going to be a solid squad. Let's get to the Supers because we have Jason Cole coming up here. You good with that?
Yeah, let's do it, bro.
Right, JD3 checking in. What's up, JD? He says, I agree with everything on the Rams. One cool thing to see is how McVay and Nick light up for each other and speak so highly of each other. That's very true. Sean McVay is a big Nick Sirianni guy.
Absolutely, and so is Nick. And like you said, too, when they were playing each other twice this past season, how many times did those guys glow over each other's organizations? I mean, I think they mirror one another and what they're trying to accomplish. Yeah. And I really do, man. I think that's the NFC rivalry now moving forward. Washington's going to get in there.
Washington's right there
in the division.
Yeah, Washington's right there. JD3 checks in again. What's up, brother? Appreciate you, man. A couple of super chats today. As always, we appreciate you. He says, got to draft a QB in the next couple of years. Hurts won't age like pocket quarterbacks. Look how hard Russ fell off. I don't know, man. I don't agree with that. I'm sorry. I just don't. I don't see Hurts falling off like an RG3 type of thing. I really don't.
I'll tell you what I do believe in, though, JD3. I'll tell you what I do believe in. I think you should draft a quarterback in every draft because you never know when you because you never know what you're going to land on. I mean, look at where you got this Tyler McKee kid. You got him late in the draft, and now you're falling in love with him, and everyone really likes him. I'll tell you what, if you were to put Tyler McKee right now, Tanner McKee on the open market right now, what do you think you get for him? 4? 3?
Nah.
I'll tell you what, you ain't getting a 7 for him. You're going to get more than a 7 for him.
You're probably getting 6.
Oh, I don't know, man. He
played like half a game.
I'll tell you, man, I think he shows a lot of promise. I like him. I don't think that's a 7th round guy. Do you think that guy looks like a 7th round quarterback? You know who's a 7th round quarterback? Nate Sudfeld. That's a 7th round quarterback.
That's true. Anthony Lear says, didn't the Rams lose Cup? Yeah, bro, and they brought back Devontae Adams.
I know, and they got him on the other side of Puka
Nacua. And they re-signed Tutu Atwell, remember? So now they have Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell, Devontae Adams. Those are the perfect receivers for Matthew Stafford.
I could see Dallas Goedert in L.A. with the Rams. You put him out there. If I were the Eagles, I'd be pimping him there or with the Chargers even.
I would not want to send him to L.A. They would be you could argue they'd be a better roster than you.
I'll tell you, well, at least skilled people, they'd be a really difficult.
They'd be right there. The Eagles without Goddard and them with Goddard, plus what they did on their defense and on the lines, their defense was really good. Dude, they had Fisk, they had Verse, and they had Kitchens, all rookies last year who played lights out.
Let me tell you what I would do if I were Dallas Goedert. I would demand to be released so I could pick my team.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. I don't think anybody's going to trade for him now. Kyle Kokorski says, I smell trades. Oh, Kyle, there's trades coming.
With all those picks, you think?
Yeah, there's trades coming. Kim Bose, what's up, Kim Bose? He says, I think we need to draft a safety, whatever round.
See, I disagree with Philly 500. They think he wants them to get
I disagree
at
with
32. I think if anything, it's corner and edge, isn't it? That are the biggest questions.
Yeah, and you need defensive linemen, man. They're gonna draft defensive linemen because once you pay Jalen Carter $40 million a year, you're gonna put the talent around him on that D line is gonna be all cheap talent. Like they're not gonna. Moro Ojomo could have the best season in the world this year. He's gone.
That's right.
He's gone. So after this year, so you're gonna have to keep drafting defensive linemen. They're gonna draft heavy defensive linemen this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's all the supers.
All right, man. Hey, Zander, I think I think still first two picks, I'm still going edge and tight end. First round, second round, I still think it's edge and tight end. Have you changed at all?
Well, the only thing is, if they move on from Goddard, could they make a move on a guy like a Loveland in round one? I don't think they'd spend their first round pick on the offensive side of the ball right now. I don't think they would. But remember what we talked about. If you're talking about shedding A.J. Brown or a big money name on offense, insert whoever you like or whoever you'd want to see. Don't you want a guy to get in the wings now and get some development?
Would you draft a wide receiver down there?
Nah, not a wideout. You don't need a wideout, bro. Well, we have Jahan Dotson still for another year. You have A.J. Brown, Devon. You don't need a wideout.
You're eventually moving off him. I don't think there's any great wideouts in this draft either. I don't see. The
wideouts haven't impressed me like crazy.
No, I haven't seen that at all.
Yeah, me neither.
No.
We'll see what they end up doing, though.
You know what? I can't wait to ask, Jason Cole about how about the Green Bay Packers just crying? Tush push. The tush push. I mean, the Eagles start out 1st and 9 every sequence. We got to stop this. Holy cow. I'm getting Rich McKay on. Again, we had him on, the chairman of the competition committee.
Yeah, right.
So I'm going to get him on again. Unfortunately, Rich is a guy that drafted me. I
remember the bite. He said you were playing out of position.
Yeah. Well,
that.
Again, that's right. That's one of the things.
All right, so let's have a good segment with Jason.
You got it, brother. I appreciate it. But you got the Packer. I wonder if Jason's going to kill this Packer team. Here, let me read it to you, too. Before I get Cole on here, by the way, our NFL Insider, we love it. Here, let me read you exactly what the Green Bay Packers have. And by the way, Rich McKay sent this to me. Just so you know, this is what the Packers say. Rule change. Green Bay amends. Rule 12, Section 1. I didn't know you talk like that in an NFL game. To prohibit an offensive player from pushing a teammate who is lined up directly behind the snapper and receives the snap immediately at the snap. I mean, this sounds like something one of those weirdo guys over in England. They call it football, but it's soccer.